Good to have all of you here, and I'm very grateful that you're willing to serve. Mr. Gor, we'll start with you. I've known you for many years. We've traveled together, spent a lot of time together, and I've really appreciated your service on behalf of the administration. I think it's an exciting thing for the United States ambassador to India, a major power, major economic force in the world, and one with potentially increasing significance to the United States. That ambassador is going to be somebody who's got a close relationship with the president, and I think that's wonderful. I think it's also an added plus that in a large embassy like that one, a lot of personnel, they've got a personnel expert, somebody who's head of the Office of Presidential Personnel, and also someone who seems to know every man, woman, and child in America. Never known anyone who knows as many people as Sergio Gor. Since taking office, President Trump has reinvigorated economic statecraft in a way that has enabled us to exert more power as a country. And to that end, I've commended his use of his authority over tariffs and trade matters in order to secure more favorable terms for the United States, both as it relates to tariffs on our products and also as it relates to what very frequently surfaces as non-tariff trade barriers, sort of below the surface trade restrictions that often go overlooked. And I remain hopeful, very optimistic, that President Trump will continue to use this in a way that will make for a more robust trade environment on better terms for the United States. In the past 9 months, that approach has paid some significant dividends, bringing allies and some competitors alike to the table in a way that they haven't been brought to the table in the past. This has also resulted in a lot of bilateral trade discussions with an eye toward bilateral trade agreements, which I think are good for us. Multilateral trade agreements may have their place, but they haven't always worked out as well for us. Just yesterday, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi committed to reopening trade negotiations with this in mind. So in this vein, I want to ask you a little bit about India and about the energy sector in India in particular. India continues to purchase Russian oil, of course. That's a fact. And it's also a fact that actors like Russia and Iran leverage their energy exports in order to constrain our allies' freedom to maneuver and to fuel regional destabilization. That's not ideal, to put it very mildly. The best way to reduce that kind of vulnerability is for the U.S. energy exports to dominate the international market. We want to be sufficient at home. We want to be exporting in significant quantities, enough so that we can exert a significant degree of dominance there. So as trade talks reopen, how do you see U.S. energy exports as being part of the conversation? And what are some of the things you think you could do as ambassador to try to facilitate those conversations?
Senator, thank you for your question. I think it is vitally important that we do have reciprocal open trade and fair trade, frankly. For far too long, it has been one-sided all over the world. And it took President Trump coming in there and saying, you know what, this has been working one way, but not the other way. We currently have a $45 billion deficit with our trading partners in India. And so we will make it a top priority, as I had mentioned earlier, on LNG, on petroleum products, and we will endeavor to make sure that we have access to those markets. To your earlier point on hiring personnel, I want to thank the majority committee, the majority members of this committee, because we have been able to successfully hire a lot of individuals from every single member, I think, on this committee. We took Senator Cruz as chief of staff, took Senator Scott's GC. I think we've taken 20 individuals from Senator Hagerty. So we appreciate that, and I think we've taken from you also, Senator Lee. And so we have a great bench across the federal government because we were able to utilize these incredible individuals that have worked here in the Senate.
What are some of the other areas of sort of mutual interest between us and India that you look forward to exploring? After, of course, you become fluent in at least Hindi, Urdu, Gujarati, and 2 or 3 others.
Thank you, Senator. I think the biggest priorities, of course, are U.S. economic and business interests, the security and stability, advancing security and stability, expanding U.S.-India cooperation in defense, energy, strategic technology, and also enhancing diplomatic and cultural ties. We have an incredible diaspora, a lot of individuals in Texas. It's an incredible diaspora. It's something that should be fostered and grown.
Great. See, my time's expired. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your service, and thanks for answering my questions, Mr. Gor.